do not miss out on this opportunity. Trust me when I say I wish this was around back when I was competing in college. Different conversation for different day though. Hi guys, Tiffany Ofili Porter here where I discuss all things life after sport. I was a world-class professional athlete for 12 years, and now that I'm on the other side of retirement, I want to use my experiences to show that retirement from sport does not have to be scary. So that's why I created this video. I will discuss 5 things that will help your transition out of sport be seamless. So let's get into it. It kills me that far too many athletes retire and are left wondering, so what happens next? Whether you are leaving the high school ranks or professional ranks, transition out of sport is inevitable. Whether you made millions of dollars and had a tremendous amount of success or not, there comes a time when you're going to have to step away from sport, whether you want to accept this fact or not. So why is there such little effort put in place to help us transition out of sport? And furthermore, why aren't there more athletes who are proactive in planning for their futures? The answer to this question is complex and deserves a whole video in and of itself. Maybe I'll do a part 2 to this one. Let me know in the comments below if that's something that you'd be interested in watching. And while you're at it, go ahead and like and subscribe to join the fam. But anyway, my husband, who is a sports business professional, is very passionate about this topic, and I am too. In fact, sometimes we even have pillow talk where we're discussing life after sport and how we can help the next generation of athletes to not struggle as they're stepping away from sport. My husband, Jeff, was also a professional athlete, so he's obviously experienced this transition out of sport firsthand, just like I have. In fact, I've experienced retirement really what feels like twice. The first time after having my daughter and I wasn't sure if I was going to come back to the sport. And then the second time most recently and officially when I stepped away from sport after the 2021 Olympic Games in Tokyo. Neither one of those times did I struggle with the question of, so what do I do next? Because of the planning that I set in place while I was competing and years before my actual retirement from sport. Here are some of the things that I considered while I was competing that helped me have a seamless transition out of sport, and I'm sure they'll be useful for you as well. Number 1, focus on your education. Take the student part of student athlete very seriously. It is easy to get caught up in the notion that sports is the only important aspect of your identity when you're in high school or college, but trust me when I say that degree will certainly mean something one day. This is true even if you're convinced that you will never use said degree. The temptation to neglect your studies is even higher when you're excelling in sport. Fight that urge. Go to that tutor session, go to that study session, go to those office hours, and just approach your academics with the same intensity that you do when you're competing. And even if you do leave college for that lucrative shoe contract, endeavor to finish that degree, even if it takes you double the time. Trust me when I say you can be a world-class athlete and still strive for excellence in the classroom simultaneously. Number 2, identify your talents outside of sport. Everyone has something that is special about them, and the quicker you realize what your God-given talents are, the quicker you can improve them and use them to your benefit. Do you like to write? Are you good at public speaking? Do you have a product or service that you sell? In this digital age, nearly everything can be monetized, and that hobby might turn into a side hustle, and who knows, that side hustle might turn into a business or a career down the line that could help you to secure the bag. It would also be incredibly useful to use your platform as a current athlete to build an audience of genuine supporters who want to see you win and who might actually stick around once you're done competing. And now in the era of the NCAA allowing athletes to capitalize off of their name, image, and likeness, or NIL, you can get paid for just being yourself and building your brand on the internet. You guys do not miss out on this opportunity. Trust me when I say I wish this was around back when I was competing in college. Different conversation for different day though. Number 3, you can train and plan simultaneously. Drop the notion that preparing for the future means that you somehow are not living in the present. Those two things are not mutually exclusive. I once heard someone say that if you're planning for your plan B, that means you don't really trust your plan A. Now, while I definitely understand the sentiment behind this statement, because let's be real, you have to have an unwavering amount of commitment and self-belief to achieve greatness, especially as a world-class athlete. However, with that, there has to be a balance in knowing that your time as an athlete is limited and you can't compete forever. So sitting in that and not even thinking about what life after sport looks like will be doing yourself a huge disservice. Newsflash, there is still so much life left to live even when you retire from sport. Along those same lines, every athlete needs to identify who they are outside of sport. Not only will this help with your sanity while you are competing, it will also contribute to your longevity in the sport. As we all know, sports can be incredibly fickle, so placing all of your self-worth and self-esteem in results that can change just like that is incredibly dangerous. Use this as permission to start planning for your life outside of sport. Trust me when I say your future self will be very happy that you did. Number 4, get a good team. I know. It's such an overused saying that you are only as good as your team, but it's a cliche for a reason. How else do you think it was possible for me to train for the Olympics, practice pharmacy in the height of a pandemic, manage my rental property, still be present for my family, and all the other things that I had going on? If it sounds like a lot, that's because it was, and it literally would have been impossible to achieve without the team that I had surrounding me, uplifting me, and just helping me be my very best self during those times. Your team is not only there to help free up time to allow you to commit it to other endeavors, but they can also be there to hold you accountable when you need it. And trust me when I say, a lot of times we need those accountability partners. Your team can also be a sounding board for when you are competing as an athlete and you might be overwhelmed. And then they can also be used to help you transition out of that athlete realm. No matter where you are on your journey, having a good team will allow you to operate at 100%. And that's whether you are competing or retired. Number 5, ignore the critics. There will be folks telling you that you are doing too much or that you need to choose a lane when you're simply just trying to set yourself up for success. My advice would be to take what they're saying with a grain of salt, because a lot of times these people genuinely do want to see you win. But also bear in mind that sometimes people can project their small-mindedness onto you, and that can be very limiting on you achieving those very big or lofty goals that you have set for yourself. I'll give you a real life example. I had a person who I still respect to this day tell me that it would be impossible to attend pharmacy school and train for the Olympics at the same time. In their mind, it had never really been done, and I needed to kind of pick a struggle or stay in a lane. And I needed to just chill out with these unrealistic goals. With all due respect, imagine if I would have listened to that person and bailed on my dream. And here I am now 12 years later with my doctorate of pharmacy, licensed in multiple states, several world championship medals, and a few coins along the way. Needless to say, life would look very different had I taken their advice. I'm not even saying this to flex. This is just your reminder to be very discerning about who you let in your ear and extremely selective about what advice you decide to listen to. As athletes, we set goals, and together with our coaches, we map out what the upcoming season will look like. This period of planning is usually met with a lot of enthusiasm. And this mapping out approach can be translated to planning for what life after sport will look like as well. And I encourage you to take that same energy into retirement. Have a general idea of what you envision your life after sport looking like and begin planning for it, even if it's little by little. As a retired athlete currently reaping the benefits of said planning and preparation, I can tell you that you certainly will be glad that you did. So make sure that you are taking your academics seriously. Spend the time identifying what your talents are outside of your sport. Be okay with having a plan B and planning for life outside of sport. Put in the effort to get a good team surrounding you and ignore the critics and be discerning about which advice you listen to. Thank you so much for tuning in, guys. I hope this video was helpful. Let me know down in the comments if you would like a part 2 to this video. Make sure you share it with somebody that you think will find it useful, because I'm just here to help, guys. And like, comment, and subscribe. Join the family, and I'll holler at you guys later. Peace.